What's up, Unstoppable Ballers? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so you never miss a video from us. And beyond that, if you are new here, just know that this channel is very unconventional in the advice we provide. Okay, so it also goes against the grain to what most medical practitioners practice, but also it goes against the grain as to what most athletic trainers and strength and conditioning coaches also practice. And it's done this way for a reason, because I saw a problem in all the industries where they weren't looking at the specifics of how to connect the body from the ground up, namely how the athlete, you, the one that's watching this right now, understands how to fire in sequence the exact muscles from even your toe all the way up to your abs, your lats, and your shoulders to get into the positions that matter to you as the athlete, okay? So the positions that matter to you as the athlete are going to be things like when coach says, get lower, jump higher, be more explosive, push off your foot more, okay? Be shifty, be on your toes more, drive through your knees, pump your arms. What does that even mean in the context of what your body can do? So that's the shift. That's the paradigm shift that needs to happen, because people are shouting cues at you, but we, the athlete, has to be able to understand internally exactly what we need to feel in the specific positions coach is getting us into. If I were to have it any way, if I were to have it my way, I would go back and say anatomy and physiology is the most important thing that every single human person should be taught from the time they are little all the way until they're an adult, all the way for the rest of their lives, because it is the most important thing you should know and understand about yourself. You have a body. If we don't know how it functions and how it works, then we're operating on always relying on a practitioner, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, a physio, a doctor to tell us what's wrong with us. But if we shift the paradigm, we shift the perspective completely, and we say, hey, you know what? I'm taking responsibility for myself. I am the asset, okay? I don't want to be continuously seen as a liability by myself, by organizations that are looking and scouting me and recruiting me, no matter what sport you play, whether it's basketball, track, you like to run, kayaking, hiking, it doesn't matter what sport you love, they all require similar positions, okay? And there are 5 basic skills that most every sport requires. It's rotation, throwing and hitting, there's change of direction, there's jumping, there's some sort of running in every single sport for the most part, okay? So if we don't understand how to get into those shapes and those 5 basic skills, it's going to show up in full game day when we're doing the activity we love, when we're playing the sport we love, or we're running for miles and miles, or we're sprinting, it's going to show up. Injuries aren't as mysterious as they seem to be. No, you're not just getting older. There's way more to this than just getting older. It's understanding how to create safety and engagement on the muscles that surround the joints that you're asking to do work on, okay? So let's take, for example, and I'm going to give you an exercise in this video of how to exactly understand how to break down what your body needs for every position you get into. So you'll know what muscles need to fire. And if you at least know that, then you can begin to figure out how to get those things on. If you don't know how to fire those muscles, that's what we're here for, okay? Go ahead and look at the link below. Click on that link below so you can book a call with one of our coaches so we can sit down and help you understand how to fire the right muscles without pain, and beyond that, be able to build yourself all the way to an athletic version of yourself, the most athletic version of you, and whatever activity you love without pain, without discomfort, so that you're always moving towards the goals that you want. Okay, so that's what this video is going to be about. Let's get into it. So anybody that's watching this, if you don't have a knowledge about anatomy and physiology, don't worry. This is your way you gain knowledge. Okay, so this is what we do. So what we have our athletes do in the beginning is we work on their mind. And the way we work on their mind is this. So you have a basic structure. So say you list out your goal. Okay, so whether it's basketball, it's running, it doesn't matter. Write out what your athletic goal is. What do you want to accomplish in your sport? So if it is, hey, I want to play pro basketball, for example, and be able to play the sport for as long as possible. Then I want you to dimensionalize this, meaning get more detailed. Well, why? What does it do for you? Well, it's the discovery of being able to create plays in unpredictable scenarios. Gets me excited. It gives me fulfillment. Your goals can't just be, yo, it's fun. It gives you something beyond fun. That's why you want to keep doing it. Of course, there's something beyond stress relief too, because something that gives you stress relief but gives you pain is not really giving you stress relief in the long run, is it? It's very short-lived. Okay, so you have to look at things beyond the acute and the current moment. You have to look beyond that. So why, right? What is your goal? Once you understand this, then you have to start breaking this down. Okay, so what movements are required for my sport? Now, this is where you have to really think and get creative, right? So for basketball, there's getting low on defense. There's jumping, okay, both vertically and kind of forward horizontally. Even lateral, you could argue. There's also change of direction in several different ways, right? You're changing direction left to right, forward, back. All sorts of different types of change of direction. There's change of pace too, change of pace. So this is like your hezzy moves, your stopping on a dime stuff, right? There's so many different things here. What else is required? Let's see. There's arm movement overhead. When you jump and grab the ball, shooting, dribbling. When you are very clear as to what your goal is, number one, but number two, what's actually required from your sport, then you can start to think about, okay, well, what joints need to move to get into these positions that you're being demanded to do? Okay, so that's the next place. What joints are required to get into the positions needed for my sport? Okay, so if you have this now as your frame, you, the athlete, can actually be, or you, the human, because if you're a human being and you're running, but you don't pursue athletics for a living, you are still an athlete because you're requiring your body to do an athletic task. Okay, so you want to train in a similar fashion, especially if you want to keep doing the activity you love, even if it is the weekend when you just play your sport every now and then. You got to think beyond just, I'm an athlete, I'm not an athlete. You got to think, what kind of athletic movements am I partaking in? How can I best prepare for these athletic movements? And that way you're putting yourself more on an equal playing field. You're not trying to put these people on a pedestal saying the athlete's up here, I'm just the average Joe. No, you're a human being, and human beings all need certain requirements to perform the tasks that they're demanding on their body, demanding from their body. And it's as simple as that. Okay, it does not need to be super complicated. So if this is the case, you've asked yourself what joints, you simply take these movements, okay, right here, and then you break down to getting low on defense, for example. Let's see. So my knees have to bend, hips have to get wide, ankles have to bend and not collapse, spine has to bend over the hips, arms have to be able to move side and overhead, right? Because you're trying to block your defender. Arms move to the side, arms move overhead. What else is happening? Let's see. Yeah, your knees have to extend You have to push off your toes. So these are all things that need to happen for getting low on defense. You would do this for every single movement you do. Okay, so break this down. What joints are bending, which joints are moving, okay? Even your head's moving side to side, right? Head is moving side to side. Now, once you've done this, once you've broken down, okay, I know my movements required for my sport. I know the joints required to get into these positions. Great. Now you got to ask yourself, what muscles move the above joints into the positions? Ask of them, okay? This is now the part where I'm going to teach you how to look this up, okay? It does not even need to be a very complicated thing. You don't need to take a big, intricate anatomy class either, but you have to be well informed as to what you need to feel before you just trust some practitioner or doctor telling you how you're going to live the rest of your life. You have to know your body before someone else gives you guidance, okay? So what muscles move the above joints? Let's talk about it. So let's think about it. For the knees bending, here's what you do. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to share a Google window to take you step by step through this. All right, let's go to Google. Literally write down, oops, what muscles, you always see this stuff happening, what muscles do squat work, so on and so forth. What muscles bend the knee when sitting low on defense? Let's see. So you have all sorts of things that people talk about here, right? So what muscles make the knee bend? Here we go. The knee is a hinge joint, also has the ability to rotate slightly as it moves. The contraction of muscles at the front of the thigh, the quadriceps straightens the leg, while the contraction of the muscles at the back of the thigh, the hamstrings, allow the leg to bend at the knee. Cool. So you know that there's several things firing, but we also know that the hamstrings and the quads help bend the knee. Okay, so you can even look at an image if you want to. Go to images. Okay, and you can pull this up and see, okay, there are muscles that are above the knee right here, and muscles that are below the knee, attached from the knee, and there are muscles behind. So even without Google telling you everything that's up, you can look at a diagram and say, okay, there are muscles above, muscles below, muscles behind. And you can start to make the assumption that all the muscles above the knee, all the muscles below the knee, all assist the knee in bending, correct? But for sake of simplicity, you can at least write the ones that are obvious. Hamstrings, right? Quads help control the knee down. And if you know that, you come back here and you simply write down, okay, for a knees to bend, quad stabilize, and then the hamstrings. Now, if you're bending your knee and you don't feel your hamstrings, all you feel is your quad, all you feel is your knee joint, then you're going to start to realize, let me go back to that diagram and let me figure out if I can put more of that stress on the muscles above the knee and more below the knee. And that's how you want to think, okay? This is the frame from which you can begin to think about this stuff. So you can even write down muscles around the knee. This is how you get very detailed. Okay, so you're looking at muscles around the knee, quads, patellar tendon. You can even pull this diagram up, guys. See the whole thing. Okay, so we got all these muscles above the knee. Okay, all these muscles below the knee. Also on the back side, all these muscles behind. And you simply just write this down and you look up the action of each muscle. Okay, what do these muscles actually do? And if you start to look at the action of these muscles, you begin to see a pattern. And the pattern is, oh wow, like the tibialis anterior protects the knee from just translating forward too much. Oh wow, the hamstring actually bends the knee. I should probably make sure that muscle is on when I'm sitting low into a defensive stance. So this is the way you start to think. Okay, so you can literally write that down and say, if this is the case, and I know when I ask myself, what do I feel when I bend my knee? And if when you ask yourself that question and your answer becomes, oh man, I feel pain in the front side of the knee. Okay, well, how can I take stress off that? Well, you look at the diagram and say what muscles are up and below. And all you do, and yeah, guys, this takes a little bit of work, but if you do this kind of work, it's more meaningful than any class you'll ever take in school, because you have to understand, if you don't understand yourself, then how do you understand all the other concepts that are more complicated outside of you? Okay, so that's why it's important. So when we have this, so say you found a hamstring. What is the action of the hamstring? Cool. So actions, they flex the knee and they extend the hip, okay? They flex the knee. What's the major action in the hamstring? Flex the knee joint, extend the hip. So you can see it does a very important task. So you just go back and write that down, okay? So you know, hammies, flex the knee, and extend the hip. So you should hopefully be feeling that whenever you are in defense, okay? And if you're not feeling that, then something needs to change. And this is the basic framework from which you can do this for every movement required for your sport. Okay, so to literally do this, guys, hips have to get wide. Okay, let's figure this out. What muscles keep the hips wide and moving outward? Okay, what muscles rotate the hip outward? Let's see, the gluteus maximus. Large muscle in your hip buttocks area provides the most power used for hip external rotation. And you scroll in, you're like, there's a glute minimus, there's a glute medius, there's a TFL, and the maximus is gonna be underneath there, okay? But you take a little bit of a deeper look and you realize, oh wow, there's a lot of muscles around the hip that are gonna help my hip go outward. So you can do the initial work. The initial work is like, well, what muscle does this? Look it up. And then go deeper. Look at a picture and say, wow, there are a lot of muscles that move the hip out. And then you're thinking, go further and say, well, how can I get all of these muscles that are around my hip to assist me in getting low on defense? That is the thought process we want as an athlete, as someone that wants to improve their body. Not just, let me look at what Google says, and that's it. Let me look at what Google says, take it a step further, and look at the other muscles around the muscle that I just looked at. How can I get those muscles involved? Because the idea is get more muscles around the joint, support, so that they can move in the ways that you desire it. So what other muscles are around the hip? Let's see, the groin's there, right? The hamstring is there, the glute's there, the upper back, the obliques, the lower back, all those things exist there whenever you're getting low on defense, okay? If you're not feeling the first muscle you looked up, the glute, then chances are all the other muscles aren't working either. So this is why it's really important. Again, you just go through the same process, okay? So for jumping, all of it, okay? So for this one, I'm gonna put, okay, for hips to get wide, glutes. Okay, glutes do that. Okay, what do the glutes do? They rotate the hip outward. Cool, I know that. and you look this up for every single joint position. What does the spine have to do? What does the arms? Okay. What moves the knee into extension? What helps you push through your toes? What moves your neck side to side? Look up those muscles. And then ask yourself, do I feel those muscles when I do these things? I don't. Okay. If I don't, then chances are all the stress that you're applying on your body is being dumped into your joints, into your bones, into your what we call our passive structures. You want to move the stress into your active structures. These are your muscles that can take all the load. So then take it further, guys. After this, you have to ask yourself, in training, when I train, what exercises are actually helping me get those muscles on in the joint positions required for my sport. Okay. And this is where you have to think critically. You can do a back squat, you can do a front squat, you can do a lunge. But does it actually get you those muscles to fire in that sequence for the position that you desire? And if it doesn't, we have to think differently about the way we train, because we have to train specifically for those positions that we're going to be placed into in sport. Here's the thing. If you cannot keep those muscles on in a controlled environment like training, because training is very structured, okay, you're doing sets and reps, controlling yourself, then how do you expect to keep these muscles on in a very chaotic environment with an opponent in front of you? You're taking impact, trying to avoid impact, changing direction, you're jumping, you're landing in weird angles. How do you prepare for a chaotic environment if you cannot even do this in a very controlled environment? Okay. If you can't keep your arches lifted in a controlled environment, how do we expect that to be the case in a chaotic environment? This is why it's very important that our athletes do this work in the beginning, that they themselves are aware as to exactly what joints need to move for the positions that they need, for the skills they need to do, what muscles actually move those joints in position, and what surrounding muscles are going to help that joint from being safe, and what do I actually feel when I perform athletically, and then is my training reflecting that? And if it doesn't, something has to change. And if you need help with this, the training piece, then reach out to us. Click the link below. Set up a call with us, set up an assessment call. And on the call, we'll literally go through every single position needed for your sport and give you movements that actually are relevant for you. And you can feel the difference right off the bat. You feel the difference off the first exercise. Exercises should help you feel better, not worse. You gotta change that whole mentality. So do that. If you're confused, you're not sure where to start, but in the meantime, get some clarity. Do this for every single movement that is in your sport and break down every single joint required for that specific movement. Then ask yourself, what muscles move these joints? What muscles bend the knees? What muscles get the hips wide? Go on Google, do a search, then look up the other muscles, surrounding muscles that can get stronger to help that joint. What do you feel when you bend your knee? Okay. And if you're feeling your knee joint, how do we get other muscles to work? Help you. When you train, what exercises are actually helping you get those muscles on? And if you're not sure, reach out to us. But do this work, comment below what you learned about yourself, and you'll even learn the insights as to why you got the injuries you did over the past few years. Get this awareness, guys, because when you do this, it will change the entire game. You'll have so much more power over exactly how fast you heal, how well you train, how well you perform athletically for the rest of your life. All right, team. If this video supported you in any way, hit like, hit subscribe, comment below with any questions you have, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.